So what's worked great for us in making sure the bride gets the type of video that she wants, in addition to providing us the style and even her music preferences, is before her wedding day, maybe she's got some examples of shots that she wants. Like she's always wanted this shot of maybe her husband dipping her in a field, and the lighting is just amazing.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Colorado Wedding Podcast, the ultimate place to plan your Colorado wedding.
From luxury weddings to intimate elopements, we'll guide you through planning your wedding in the beautiful state of Colorado.
We're your hosts, Josh
and Brian,
and we're here to give you insider tips and advice from all kinds of Colorado wedding experts.
Join us and discover the best ways to reduce wedding stress and design your unique wedding day. Hey guys, welcome back to the Colorado Wedding Podcast. This is Brian.
And this is Josh.
And we're back with another episode with your two favorite hosts. We're adjusting our microphones. Hold on. So we're back with your two favorite hosts. And today we're going to cover something that is super close to our hearts. Right, Josh?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about video. And for those people getting married out there, just the best tips to get the best video you can, especially when you're hiring a videographer, and just once you've hired one, just the steps to take to get the best wedding video at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if we haven't mentioned it 1,000 times, we're both videographers. We both run video and photo companies, and we don't want anyone to stress on your wedding day. You're going to hear that in almost every single episode, and we want you to do your wedding the way that you want to do it. And so when you're doing your video and photo, that should not be your main concern. So here's some things that you can think about before so that you have good things. And most of them are not going to be things that you have to do all the time. It's going to be a little work ahead of time, right, Josh?
Yep.
Awesome. So Josh, what advice would you give to brides to ensure that their wedding video aligns with their vision?
Yeah. So as a bride or groom getting married, I'm sure if you are wanting a wedding video, I'm sure you have some sort of style. So I think for our clients, we've had the best success when they're figuring out what type of wedding video to send us the examples when they book us. So there's varying styles, trending styles, a little bit older styles. Do you want a story, like a true film, or do you just want a montage wedding video? So sending your videographer examples of that has been super helpful so that you kind of know what style they want. So that's how we generally do it in the beginning stages of, getting to know our brides and grooms. We go back and forth. We'll often send out a questionnaire with a bunch of information, and in there we'll try to capture really what their style is. And then we can we'll talk about this in a second, but figuring what genres of music they like. Are they country, pop, folk, even hip hop or whatever? We can kind of base the video around that. So we like to collect that information definitely before wedding day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And can you walk through real quick kind of just the types of videos? Like you mentioned that there's montage and there's because some are long, some are short, right?
Yeah. So it really varies. We do highlight reels. We can do a 1 minute. Often we do this in addition to a longer film, but they're really popular with Instagram, even making it vertical. So 1 minute or even 30 seconds of just all the amazing shots with a hype song generally.
Yeah, hype them up.
Even we can do a little bit of audio of vows or the officiant or something in there, but that's a short form. And then we can do a montage, which is 5 to 7 minutes. Yeah. And it's
some people it's called a wedding film,
yeah,
or a wedding video. Sometimes that's usually what they're talking about, right? What would you say? It could be anywhere 5, 8, 9 minutes, somewhere in that range, usually, right?
Yeah, and so that's just capturing all the shots of the day, candid shots of them in the moment, not, focusing on the cameras, and also styled shots where we, take them out, bride and groom, and we get some shots of them generally interacting with each other, shots pose shots where we give them direction. And then also with vows, oftentimes it's great audio storytelling to have our couples record their vows either in advance to the ceremony. They can read each other's, which is really cool, or we capture them during the ceremony. And having that audio as a background to all the B-roll shots and everything else just makes for a really cool story.
Yeah, For sure. And then the third video that is kind of like the entire day, right? So sometimes your parents might say like, oh, hey, do we get like a 45-minute or 2-hour video? It's like, we can definitely do that. And that's, so usually it's in addition to what you're getting for your wedding film, where the wedding film kind of tells the story of the day. Usually there's so many different ways that people call it, like the editorial edit, or there's a bunch of different things that people call it, but there's a long form that will basically just be a chronological order of your day with an entire ceremony, all the speeches, all that sort of stuff.
Yes, speeches, ceremony, vows, just everything.
All the good shots, basically.
And not really that much editing, because we're just putting so much stuff, so it's not kind the cream of the crop shots. It's just like everything.
Yeah. And that's cool. I mean, like if you want everything, great, let your videographer know. But like you said, looking at the style ahead of time, those aren't usually the ones you're going to see on YouTube, but those are things that, kind of in addition that you can get. So, but yeah, I think that's great, Josh. And, everybody, you might want one of those, you might want all of them. And so definitely, talk to your videographer about those sort of things. So that's kind of some of the pre-work. And then on the wedding day, we know that, and we've even done an episode about this, right? Where the day can be unpredictable, right? And we always try to keep the stress down by saying like, try to roll with it and make sure that you're not stressing out about every little thing. But like, let's say that there is like a challenging situation, like you have to change locations because of weather or something like that. So how do you make sure that you're still creating a great wedding video, even if it wasn't the exact perfect original plan?
Yeah, sure. Great question. And especially being here in Colorado, weather can be super unpredictable. So we love to tell our brides and grooms that going with the flow, and when things that unpredictable happen, just staying positive and just taking it as they come. So if you get rained out, if your ceremony location gets rained out and you need to move,
which happens,
your backup, like don't stress over it. Let's just continue to have a positive day. It is an amazing day still. So we like to encourage our couples to just take it as it comes and stay positive. And it can make for just a fun, lighthearted day when there is change of plans. I know that can be really hard when your plans totally change.
If you're type A, for sure.
That's what we encourage our couples, and as us as videographers and photographers, we just go with the flow. So we are so flexible, and we will make a great video regardless of what happens that day.
Yeah, and a lot of photographers and videographers will do this, but Josh and I, we will hype you the whole time. Like, you know what? It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome, because that's true. We're not lying. That's not lip service. Like, some of the most famous videos that you see are like in the pouring rain, or like when the wind is like blowing your dress or whatever. So
that tornado rolls in.
Yeah, and like, look, it might look like it sucks, but like, that is your story, and it becomes super unique. So if you want a unique video, embrace the day and go off script if you want to. If you're not comfortable doing that, we're not saying everybody has to do that, but yeah, for sure. I think those are the ones that you see on Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram taking off. So, but yeah, so we talked a little bit about this, but like, how can a bride really communicate their preferences and ideas to the videographer to make sure that they get the video that they want without, basically going, shot by shot?
So what's worked great for us in making sure the bride gets the type of video that she wants, in addition to providing us the style and even her music preferences, is before her wedding day, maybe she's got some examples of shots that she wants. Like, she's always wanted this shot of maybe her husband dipping her in a field, and the lighting is just amazing. Yeah. So just telling us those shots, and we can totally plan that, and making sure that we're hitting golden hour and we find a field for that example. And also, if she wants specific family members in it, like if she's got maybe a grandma or an uncle that's just been super important in her life, letting us know in advance so we can get that shot, and incorporating that in the story has worked great for us. But just tons of communication prior. We don't want to just show up. We don't want to just book the client a year out, never talk to them, and then day before the wedding, getting the stuff is not the way we do it. So it's just a constant communication with them over that engagement period. Yeah. And I mean, I think you and I would both agree that if you don't have that stuff, if you don't have I need this shot and you have to get this person, that's fine too. Like, we as videographers, we know what to do on a wedding day. So it's really just the things that we wouldn't know, right? Like, hey, I've had situations where like the dad has cancer or something like that, and may not be around for much longer. And even though it's a sad thing, it's probably good for us to know
that you might not get that much, you might not get that many more videos or photos with him. I'm trying not to be super sad, but that's good for us to know, because that's someone that we can highlight and pay attention to during the day. But if you don't have something like that, I don't think you need to sweat it. Like, you don't have to be, but if you do, let us know,
Mm-hmm.
So, don't have to like stress out about having a shot list or anything like that. But one thing I definitely think that we should cover is, timing can be really important when covering like candid, emotional moments or even in between moments. And so what tips do you have for brides to help them plan the schedule to make sure that we know what's going on with the timeline on the wedding day?
Yeah. So wedding planners are awesome. Sometimes they don't take in a full account some of the timings of the day that video and photo teams can worry about, especially with sunlight. So a big one is just golden hour, going to be about that hour before the sun goes down. It totally changes throughout the winter and the summer. So if it's our preference, we love to plan just some awesome, like more planned shots. So like,
and we'll tell you so usually.
Yeah. So we're jealous for that hour. Give us at least 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So we want to plan that and avoiding, a ceremony at high noon when the sun's just killing everybody. It's just going to make for harsh shots for photo and video. So if we can play a little bit of a role in scheduling, that can be nice, just to ensure that we can get the top quality shots.
Yeah. The other thing I would add too, for those emotional moments, sometimes you maybe want them private, right? Like private vows are getting popular, or like private letter readings, that sort of stuff. Because if you do have an emotional moment where you don't want to be under pressure, you already have people staring at you and you don't want cameras and people, private moments are great too. Mm-hmm. So just kind of looking at that in your timeline. Yeah.
And we've talked about first look, but planning out, if you do want a first look, you want to, a section of 30 minutes or whatever before the ceremony, and you don't want that rushed. So you can work with your wedding planner on this, but finding a time where, before the ceremony, where you can be relaxed and just take that time with your partner to be, it can be really special to not be rushed.
Yeah. And put in the timeline. Just basically what we're saying is like put those, like give yourself enough space to do that. So, but let's talk about those emotional moments, right? Like wedding days are, filled with those. And so can you talk about a little bit about the direction so that it's not, it's not all choreographed, like how can you, like how does a videographer give direction, or like how can you work with that direction as a bride or a groom to make sure you get the good shots? Yeah.
And just to recap, there's kind of a couple types of shots, but the two main ones are really choreographed. That's a little bit harsh of a word, but that's where your videographer, photographer gives you gentle direction.
Posed would be another
to get a type of shot. They're going to say, hey, turn your head like this and move your flowers like this. And there's that, and then there's just totally candid shots. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a bulk of them where you're just enjoying your day with your friends, your wife, your husband, and we're just behind the scenes. We're going to be running around getting the type of shots. So we make videos based on those two types, really. So when we are coaching our brides and grooms on the types of shots, we're super encouraging and just lighthearted. And if you're not used to that in front of the cameras type of life, whatever, we totally coach you, and we're gentle, and we can just help you to get that type of shot for those stage shots. But yeah,
and we'll meet you where you're at. Some people need more suggestions, some people need less, right? So totally, we'll take care of a lot of that, and most videographers will. They know what they're doing. But I think, just focus on your partner, and we'll help you set up certain situations. And for video, there's gonna be a lot of motion, right? So we'll ask, walk over there or do this, and we'll capture that. So just focus on your partner and kind of like be guided by your videographer, but like you're not actors and actresses, so we don't need to have like perfect posing or anything like that. So we don't want you guys to sweat that sort of stuff.
It's about just capturing the story as a whole, how it really happened.
Yes, absolutely. So even the pose one should be candid in a way. So, so speaking of that, like how do you help the couples feel comfortable in front of the camera? So a lot of people say, what do they say? They always say, we're so awkward in front of the camera.
Yeah, we hear that every time.
So you mentioned, kind of just like gentle coaching. What are some ways that, they can expect their videographer to help out with that?
Yeah. So we really try our best to make our couples feel just comfortable with us.
Yeah.
So Brian and I like to make jokes, and we'll just be pretty lighthearted and just have fun, and trying to just totally lighten the mood, because it can be heavy. Some people just get super stressed on that day.
Yeah.
So that's our style. That's how we try to be different and just be so fun and easy to work with. So we'll give gentle direction on the types of shots, and we'll just be encouraging along the way. And if it's not your style that you want to get the shot we're asking for, we're like, okay, this is totally about you, and we're here to create something awesome for you and support you on this day.
Yeah, and I think even in the background, like, we're playing interference communication wise, right? Like, there'll be a lot of people that come to you like, hey, where do you want the cupcakes to be? Hey, when do you want to do this? Hey, we're gonna move this back 5 minutes. Josh and I know that just from working together, like, we'll be like, hey, why don't you tell us? We're almost like a second planner in a way. I don't want to take the planners, whatever. Like, they're doing way more than we are, but like, we'll say like, hey, yep, we'll talk to the bride about that. And then we'll be able to be an interference so not everybody's coming to you. So just creating that relaxed environment is something that we're going to do as videographers. And I think a lot of photographers and videographers do that, because like, you don't need that in your life on your wedding day. So yeah, I think that's super important.
Yeah.
So, and Josh, you mentioned music a couple times. You said we're going to talk about it later. So let's talk about that now. So a lot of people don't realize how much time we spend choosing music. We go through, call the videos after the day and kind of look at what shots we have. And then we spend a lot of time going through music to match that story, right? Like, we don't have a song in our head, and then we're trying to make your wedding day fit into that, right? So can you talk a little bit about music and kind of how that drives a cool video?
Totally. I like to know particularly the bride's music taste, probably before the wedding day, just so I can just be getting the types of shots I want and just kind of thinking about the edit, because you got the shooting and then you got the edit. So I like to know if she's in a country, and I can get these shots that can kind of tell a story with country themes and vibes. Sure.
And that's in that survey that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll figure out, we'll ask her maybe her favorite artists, or she'll send wedding videos to us and we'll be like, okay, great. She just wants hip hop for the hype moments, and this is what she wants. So we kind of know. But in addition to that, throughout the wedding day, we'll start to piece together the edit. Like, by the end of the wedding day, we kind of know what we're going to create. Yeah. So we will plan the story, and generally we like to, telling the story. Every story's got some highs and lows, and we got drama. So we'll use all sorts of different tracks with different emotions throughout. So like, for example, for the ceremony, and maybe there's a really heartfelt moment during the ceremony. Maybe her dad just walked her down the aisle and it's just so special, whatever. We're going to play a song that just really backs that moment. It's got some serious emotion and depth and maybe some melancholic feeling there. Yeah. And then, for the party, the reception, we're playing hype music, and the story is going to crescendo there, and it's just going to be a lot of fun, a lot of amazing shots. So we tell a story through it, and music is like the best way to really capture that emotion and to really tell it strong. Yeah,
because if you put the wrong song on the wrong song in a wrong moment, it doesn't feel right. It's like a subconscious thing. And we spend time picking usually a couple songs for each wedding, and I'll spend hours sometimes looking for the right beats per minute, that sort of stuff. And the other thing is with those suggestions, like, you might think, oh, we're gonna have a crazy wedding day, we're all gonna get, we're gonna be partying, our energy's gonna be crazy, and maybe it ends up being more somber. So we're always trying to tell that true story and have that music meet the story, instead of like being like, oh, you love this artist. Well, we're gonna do our best to kind of fit that in there because we know you like that music. But very rarely will I say hey, pick the song ahead of time, and then I'll try to make your wedding fit into that song, because it doesn't usually work that way. So just be conscious. If you don't have like a specific preference, that's totally okay. That's probably better in a lot of circumstances. So one thing that people ask about all the time is like the wedding trends. There's wedding videos, like we said, used to be like forever long and just all pieced together. So, what are some emerging trends that you kind of see in videography that you find kind of cool?
Yeah. So I love creating a highlight reel for our brides. So, like we mentioned, we got the longer film, maybe around 8 minutes or 5 minutes, but then we'll create these videos that are really attuned to social media.
Yep.
So maybe we'll grab a trending audio song, and we'll even ask them sometimes if they're really in Instagram and TikTok. We'll say, hey, like, we'd love to create this shorter form video for you to post. And we like to edit those, a couple days after the wedding. We can just find the best shots and piece them in. And that's great to post.
It's like a hype reel.
Yeah. So those are fun. I love making those. But also we've noticed that as things have become a little bit more story driven, maybe 5-10 years ago, it was, these videos were just as simple as a montage.
A lot of ceremony.
Throwing all the stuff in.
Yep.
And there wasn't a ton of thought, and there wasn't a ton of artistry in them.
We're not trying to be mean to anybody. It's just a trend.
That's how it's evolved. So creating a story in like a wedding film, incorporating audio, like vocal audio of vows and maybe the officiant, or even capturing stuff throughout the day of something real special your aunt says to you that we had a mic on it, and it was just impactful.
Tons of mics, way more mics now than there used to be.
Yeah, we use a ton of mics.
They're tiny though, you won't see them.
Yeah, not like these.
Yeah.
So incorporating that, it just creates for a really cool storytelling aspect. So we see that, I won't even shoot a wedding without including a ton of audio from bridegroom, officiant, family members.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the other thing too is I think there are more people throwing some of the old, maybe they're not video trends, but some of the traditions out the window that they don't want to do, which we fully support. Like we've said it 100 times, do your wedding. And so a lot of people are like, hey, I have longer vows, or I have a letter that I want to read, or we can, doing an interview with a couple to get more of that story that you're talking about out of them. And so private vows, I'd be like doing first looks. Obviously that's been popular for a little while, but doing your vows at your first look and getting that audio recorded where you can just let your emotion out without having to worry about, this is taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes too long. So I think a lot of those trends of just doing the thing that you guys want to do, that, you and your partner want to do, that is becoming way more popular, and we want you guys to do it even more, because like that is something that we are able to do, and it makes that story real. And that wedding, the video, when you watch it years later, it's gonna be like it's gonna take you back a lot more instead of just doing what you see on every other video.
Totally.
All right. So lastly, Josh, so what is the most rewarding part of being a wedding videographer, and what keeps you passionate about it? So just so our bride and grooms know, like, we love showing up, and we hope that every videographer does. And so obviously, talk to your videographer, meet them beforehand so that you know this. But for us personally, we know we want to be there and we want to shoot the best video possible. So like, what keeps you going? Yeah,
a lot of people view just the wedding media industry as kind of a grind. They're like, another wedding. But I have chosen not to think about it like that. I really love being there, and it's fun. They're long days, but being a part of someone's story is a lot of fun. And this work is just way more meaningful and impactful than, like, we also do commercial work on the side and for businesses, but
which we also like, but
love that. But this is just really meaningful and just really emotional work. We get to tell these stories of real people. So I love just engaging with someone and learning about them and telling their story. And this stuff is going to last, forever. These videos are going to be impactful for years. So I love just getting to tell that story for someone, and they're going to really appreciate the work, is what keeps me going.
Yeah, I think mine's a lot of the same. And I think that during a wedding day, there's stuff that like it pulls you back to reality. And it's so cool where you're like, okay, I got to set up this audio. I got to do this. So we are constantly running around doing our due diligence to get that audio and those shots. But then there's a speech from the dad that talks about, sometimes people have had parents pass away or brothers pass away, and they bring that up. And it's like you said, it's a real emotion, and it is amazing that we get to be part of that. And then we get to go back and listen to that later. And you have that moment on your wedding day that it goes by so fast that you're going to kind of forget exactly what people said. We have that for you, and we're going to give that back to you. And so to be able to go through that, it's hours and hours. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much. But like that, especially that audio and those speeches and those visual moments of the looks they give each other, that just like brings me back into like, this is such a real thing. So I'm not trying to get cheesy here, but it's just like, it's so true that like, and then the fun, the excitement, like I will literally be smiling when I'm editing, just getting a shot.
Yeah.
I'll be just like editing through, and it's like been hours and hours of me culling through, cutting down the footage to the stuff that we're going to use. And I'll like see a shot of them look at each other or a tear, and I'll just smile. And that doesn't happen as much in the commercial work. And so that is so cool to be a part of that. And that's what we want to give back.
Totally.
So, just a little plug here. If you guys want us to be at your wedding, we want to be there. So we definitely want to be there. Definitely contact us, because like we absolutely love it, and we want to give you the best product, and we know that we're going to deliver that emotion back to you that you can save forever. So, I honestly end up just like loving my brides, my grooms, everybody who's getting married.
You become friends with,
oh my gosh,
a ton of them.
Yes. There's a running joke that we like are like, hey, when are we going to see you again? Maybe never, but you're always like, I never forget whenever like we run into people, I never forget them. And when I go back to a venue I've shot before, I remember who I've shot there. And it's just, that is so cool. And it's awesome. It's just such a cool feeling. So that was just us to kind of like show our emotion there for a second, because we definitely feel that way. But yeah, so hopefully some of those tips will help you guys. If you have any other questions, you can hit us up we can go to Colorado Wedding Guides, contact us there, or we are at CO Wedding Podcast on Instagram. Hit us up anytime. If you have specific questions you want answered or podcast topics that you want covered, let us know, because we want you to have an amazing wedding. And if we can help in any way or in every way, we want to do that. Right, Josh?
Yep, totally.
So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Give us a review if you get a chance, and we will talk to you guys again soon.
Great.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Colorado Wedding Podcast.
We hope you found our tips insightful for planning your Colorado wedding.
For all the free wedding planning tools, checklists, and guides, go to coloradoweddingguides.com.
Don't forget to rate us on Apple and Spotify, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at CO Wedding Podcast.
We appreciate you and hope you have the best wedding possible.
See you next time.